All right, it is time. This is Infinite Investment Game. I'll talk about alternative investments and collectibles. This is not particularly investment advice, but if you listen to this, you'll be a better collector, investor, and you'll just be smarter when involved in all this stuff. I'm just gonna get to the chase here. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I feel like I've been right for the last couple years. So this is what you should expect for the video game market. I'm gonna also make a video on comic books, sports cards, and TCG cards. But right now, this is the video game one, and so for video games, one of the biggest issues is a lot of the stuff like the Atari and all this other stuff that's going up exponentially. What people don't understand is the majority of this stuff isn't really worth the money. I mean, paying six figures for a lot of these games when they're not worth that. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't grow up with the Atari. I barely even played the Nintendo. The last Nintendo I played was like Nintendo 64. So there was something, but there wasn't really nostalgia for me personally. And the people who pretty much played the Nintendo 64 are probably in their 30s, 40s, more likely, closer to their 40s and up. This Atari and Sega, Genesis, and all this other stuff. That wasn't really me. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even think Dreamcast was really me either. So stuff like that is older people, and that stuff is starting to peak now. And I think for the majority of it, and I mean 99% of the games, even sealed, that stuff is going to start going down. And that speculation phase is going to be over. And maybe through the decades, there's only, the 1% of the 1% of that stuff will actually be worth anything. Outside of that, we're going to be talking about, other things like PlayStation, GameCube, Xbox, stuff like that. Um, what I see over the next 10 years is probably it's just going to get less and less relevant. It's not as toxic as the sports car hobby right now. Video games is really still just developing, but uh, it's just maybe PS2, PS1, and PS2, an original Xbox. But the big thing is that these cards are, I mean, these video games are not going to. It's just not going to work for most people. These things are expensive, and then they're selling for lower and lower prices every single time. And people are like, why this? Because more of these video games are being found. Before, nobody really thought it'd be worth that much. Some people collect it, maybe worth something one day, and people see things with the economy, and they're gonna take the profits. And a lot of people are gonna get poorer. Money is being sucked out of the system because raising of interest rates. Um, and then money's gonna be going other places. You could have a war with China. There's a lot that could be going on. So video game market is about to enter a point where it's going to be dead in the next year or two. It's unfortunate. I do have some video games, and I do have a few video games I think will be worth something one day. If you have a WADA 9A or VGA, I don't know, 90 plus game, that stuff will have some value in the future. However, the issues is some of that stuff takes up a lot of room. PlayStation 1 stuff takes up less room. Um, maybe if you have the Game Boy Color stuff, it takes up less room. But there's a lot more of that stuff out there that hasn't been sent to WADA. There's some stuff that people are waiting to send to maybe VGA when the prices come down more, or another grading company that's coming out of the woodworks. That's what people I think are doing. I would just be careful buying video games. It's super speculative, and you're more likely to lose your money than anything. And it doesn't make sense to hoard all this stuff, especially when the economy is going to go through a really rough patch. And video games don't really matter that much. And video games are meant to be played. Yeah, you have the artwork and all that other stuff, but the reason why you have the video game is so you can play it. And that's really the issue that I see going on in the video game market. And as things start to go down, you're going to see greed starts to wither away and people become more rational. And a lot of things that people said or believed or hoped for is going to go away, and people are going to start doubting, and maybe they're going to start blaming some of the people who tout some of this stuff. But a lot of these people they look up to, especially in the greater video game market, they're probably successful in other things, or they just bought the right stuff at the wrong, or the wrong stuff at the right time, and then they sold, and now you're looking at them after stuff, 10, 20x, 100x. You're like, oh, they're so smart and they're so cool, and they got all this cool stuff, and they have all this status and prestige now. When honestly, it's artificially inflated by the government and also manipulators, whatever you want to call it, capitalists, whoever. And people are like, I guess the veil is starting to get lifted and people are starting to wake up. Most video games won't be worth anything. Even if they're good games and they're quote unquote rare, most people really don't want to collect video games like that. And if they do want to collect, it's mostly going to be stuff from their childhood, and really from the relevant game systems today. PlayStation is still relevant, so PlayStation 1 and 2 still have a chance. You collecting PS3 stuff, you're wasting your money. But PlayStation 2 stuff still has a chance. PlayStation 1 stuff still has a chance. GameCube and Xbox, I would say, that stuff still has a chance. But outside of that, this other stuff, this limited edition stuff, they're just releasing it because they know they're going to be a chase. And a lot of people are going to want to buy it and speculate, and it's going to go up in price and all this stuff. That may be great for the short term, but most of that stuff for the long term won't necessarily pan out. There'll be a few things that do, but it's almost kind of like playing the lottery. The vast majority of that stuff you might as well just sell off if you get your hands on it. Make that profit, especially if you're like doubling your money, 3xing your money, 4xing, 5xing, 10x your money, but especially 10xing. Like, just take the money. And put it into a better investment. That's what people need to do. This other stuff, though, when it comes to other video games, maybe Nintendo 64 a little bit, but most of this other stuff, you'd probably be better off buying arcade video games. But I think over time, this stuff is going to continue to go down. Even like Final Fantasy VII, PlayStation 1, Black Label, WATA 9.8. I think that stuff is still gonna go down to probably get a 9.8 for $2,000, maybe $2,000 to $3,000. It'll probably be in that range, anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000. So that stuff like that will probably hold its value. Final Fantasy VIII may hold its value to $1,000 or something like that. So you have games like that, but most of the stuff will not. Everybody knows most stuff will not, but it's like 1% of stuff to have any value whatsoever, and 1% of the 1% is the stuff that's actually gonna probably make you a significant amount of money. Outside of that, you need to go and invest in something else. And if you think the market's gonna turn around because of some news or something like that next few years, you're wrong. You're dead wrong. You probably have a better chance maybe around 2030. For us to be on a path, really a good path. But honestly, I'm thinking we're going to have a decade of collectibles not really being that much of a thing, especially when it comes to video games. It's a kind of a morbid thing. I'm kind of getting back into video games, just figuring out what's going on. But yeah, that's what I see going on with video games. Peace.